Hi, my name is Jordan, and this is my video for the third interaction for the Global Learning Project. The person I interviewed for this part of the project is actually a friend of mine who is living on my floor with me, named Trevor. He's a sophomore now, just like me, and is also going into education, but instead of majoring in history like I am, he's majoring in mathematics. He said he'd be okay with me giving him an interview based on his motivation and learning, and, well, this is basically how it went. Uh, my first question for the motivation was, what influenced you to go to MSU? And the first thing he said, well, obviously I wanted to go into teaching, and I knew MSU's teaching program was good, but then again, so was Eastern's, and I was thinking about going that. But what made him choose Michigan State is that he also has a twin brother who was going to go to a university, and uh, his parents basically let him know that they didn't want to send one kid to like a small school and another kid to a really big school. So when his brother wanted to go into engineering, his brother went to Michigan, and he thought, well, instead of Eastern, I'm going to go to Michigan State. So part of it was what the school had, and another was a family element. What next question? I asked him, what made you choose your major? And before he initially chose teaching, he wanted to do something in the math and science field because he was really good at the math and science classes at his school. But what made him choose teaching was that the skill of his past teachers was so good that it influenced him to want to maybe do that. He talked about all these math teachers and science teachers and chem teachers that were really important on his development as a student in high school. So he thought that teaching math would be the best way to use those skills and to give back to the next generation of students. I was thinking, so maybe he wants to be as influential to them as his teachers were to him. Next question. I asked him, what kind of I didn't ask him, are you a growth mindset or a fixed mindset, because he didn't really know what that meant, so, or I thought he would. So I asked him whether his intelligence is if you're really skilled in this subject and don't spend that much time on it because you're so skilled at it, or do you constantly put effort in it because you know you're not initially good at it, but you get better with effort. He said while he might be skilled in the math and sciences, he's mostly a growth mindset because he doesn't rely on his own intelligence just immediately for the next classes. He makes sure just to memorize and study and learn the things that learned before, and to just keep on going through it just so he can learn it. My last question I asked him about motivation is, what makes a good college student? How big of a factor is motivation? He said that's a tough question because he doesn't really consider himself to be that strong of a student, but he says that a strong student can efficiently manage time between classes, between motivating themselves to do classes while also socializing with other people and with the community in East Lansing. I asked him why socialization was that big of a prospect. What if a student only focused on education was doing a good job? He said, well, that's understandable because you're going to college for an education. You're paying all that money just to learn. But to get the full college experience, as he called it, you need to socialize, and you need to find a way just to not focus just on school, but to spend some time with other people, and so you can learn to grow with them. And I thought that was really interesting because I was expecting him just to tell me just education first and study, but no, he gave me one that was both, and I really like that answer. After that, I started asking him about his learning processes. I asked Trevor, how do you study for a class? He chuckled for a second because he said he doesn't study as much as he should, but he studies mainly for the classes that that are going towards his major, and he does that. He told me that he's more of a visual learner rather than an auditory learner because he goes through his own notes. He goes through the teacher's lecture, PowerPoint slides. He doesn't do that good of a job listening to the teacher, but as long as it's all written out and like as long as he wrote out what's needed to be done, that's how he studies and that's how he learns. I then asked him, how often do you get distracted?" He said, "Yeah, he told me he does get distracted often, but he gave me a funny way of answering like how he deals with distraction. He says if distraction starts to set in, instead of struggling with both homework and like whatever he's getting distracted in, like sometimes what's on the TV or on his computer, he just decides that it's time for a break. So that way, instead of trying to struggle with both, he just takes a break from homework, and that way when his break is done, he make sure that he can just solely focus on the schoolwork. I asked what courses are hardest for him, and he said his hardest courses go towards his major, and he studies for those the same way any class, but again, he's mostly a visual learner. My final question regarding his learning processes and strategies, I asked, do you like studying alone, or would you prefer study groups? And like, he's helped me because he's taken TE 150 before. He's helped me kind of study before, so I thought that he would like working with other people, but it turns out that he prefers studying. He normally studies alone, and he actually prefers it because he feels that he could get distracted when talking with other people, and that instead of studying, conversations can lead towards other things and just more distraction. My final question for him was cultural experiences, like what, like based on cultural experiences that he has here and compared to where he's from. So my first question was, did living at Michigan State change your aspect of different cultures compared to where you were from? He said compared to where he was from, there was a dramatic change because he lived in a high-income suburban city, and so there wasn't really that much diversity where he was from. Both MSU and his major, which was teaching, just like mine, it's taught him it's taught him first how to like interact with people that are completely different from him, but it's allowed him to immerse in more than just like one culture, because he's been living in the undiverse culture for such a long time. My second question was, how has living at MSU then changed you in terms of thinking and feeling? He didn't really know how to answer that question, but he doesn't think he changed that much. Like, again, he knows how to like deal with other, or maybe not deal, but he now like understands different cultures and like how to like maybe better associate with people of different cultures, so just to better get to know them. But like, it hasn't really changed him all that much. The only thing that would probably change is, because he does have a twin brother, he has been used to living with someone in the same room for a long time. But the only real difference is living with someone that isn't his brother, living with someone that isn't family, because family was really important in his home life. I then asked him, do you want to travel abroad, and does cultural difference affect location? He said he went to Europe in his high school, so he doesn't have that much of a drive to travel. And he said part of it was maybe because of such a cultural difference that it kind of jarred him a little bit, especially because he wasn't living there for so long, like at MSU. If he did go anywhere, he would like to go to Malta, though, because both on his mom's side and his dad's side, there's a heavy family lineage from Malta. So he'd just like to go to a place that like has a lot of blood importance to him. My final question for him regarding culture was, how do you navigate your friendships and interaction with people of other cultures? Well, the first thing that surprised me is that he's also a friend of Lehan, who I talked about in my previous two videos. So we both knew the same person, and that was kind of cool. Anyway, but he says that the only real thing you need to do is just know how to approach people, because know how to approach people on like even ground, because like people from different cultures and different locations, he told me, has like different pop culture like references, and like the media is so different, so like we can't really, it's hard to talk about either movies or video games, like unless you do happen to find one that both of you share. So you need to like approach someone in a way where like it's not based on that you need to find even ground. But he said but besides that, he doesn't necessarily treat them any different, because a person's still a person, no matter what culture. So that was basically all the questions I asked him, and like seeing his perspective, and like most of it was similar to mine, but like how much family is important to him, and how much his family lifestyle has like affected some of his answers, I thought was really interesting. So yeah, that's my That's my Interaction 3 video for the Global Learning Project.